Hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. It's Connor here. We're back with, I don't know, a bit of a discussion, really. The transfer scenario seems to be changing at Leeds United every hour, really. We've heard more news today that Joe Gelhardt might be going out on loan. That's pretty much solid right now. Sam Greenwood to Middlesbrough. Looks like Middlesbrough moving on Lewis O'Brien as well. Looks like Sheffield United have made a move on Luke Thomas. Obviously, Leeds' target at left back. There seems to be movement as well from Southampton on Matt O'Reilly. Leeds United's target at Celtic. It's all going on. Obviously, Leeds United interested in the Bulgarian midfielder we were speaking about on the video previous. If you want to hear a little bit more detail about that, the profile, how he's going to fit at Leeds United, please check the video from earlier on today. But yeah, loads going on at Leeds at the minute. Loads going on. It looks like it's going to be a busy end, and it's interesting. I wanted to get your guys' opinion. That's why I wanted to come live, because if I start thinking about Leeds, I'll just come live, because it just it sort of encapsulates me until I come online and speak to you guys about and get your thoughts and opinions, of course. But I'm really interested to hear what you think about the whole scenario at the minute when it comes to Greenwood, when it comes to Yelder, Drame, obviously, Bate, Gelhardt. Apparently, Leeds are looking JB at offers for all these players, and they're all almost touting them out, really, and saying to clubs, these guys are, come and get them if you want them. I guess it's the end of Victor Orta's pathway, isn't it? Victor Orta's pathway for a lot of these kids, which we were sort of expecting to either hit dizzy heights or be selling on for mad value. That's now not going to be a thing anymore, is it? It's not going to be a thing. We're not going to be seeing mad value for any of these players, in my opinion, unless there's a mad upturn in form for a lot of them. Greenwood, obviously, going out on loan to Middlesbrough. Is he going to, start even at Middlesbrough? I know he's going to probably have more first-team opportunities, but Gelhardt as well. Where on earth does he lie? What on earth do teams do with him? Ipswich apparently are the suitors for him. Lewis Bate looks like it might happen at League One again. Darko JB, he's not really had his chance yet. And I think it's a difficult one. It was interesting that Man City didn't buy, didn't want a buyback clause on Darko JB, and City put a buyback clause on everyone. You know what I mean? They didn't want him on JB. That's not me saying he's not good enough, of course. What I am saying is maybe they projected this future where he had a few holes in his game, and obviously, as I've just said, he's young. He was part of that England midfield that was superb in the under-19s development with Alex Scott, who was unbelievable in the Championship last season. So there's definitely potential for Darko there. But where's he going to get his chance now? Obviously, Lee's looking at more central midfielders. The only one to break through is obviously the mercurial talent, which is Archie Gray. So the bench now, it's a conversation with everyone. What do you look at? Because if Leeds are actively looking at a lot of these bodies, we know Farke likes to work with a smallish squad. If Leeds are looking at a lot of these players going out, you've surely got to be looking at Leeds bringing in 3 or 4 more for me. There's got to be 3 or 4 more coming in. Now, Glenn Kamara, I think, is walking his way down from Rangers. I'm not 100% sure Leeds are convinced on him. I don't see in any way, shape or form how you can turn around with confidence and say that Leeds are convinced. I think he's a second, third option. Obviously, O'Brien going to Middlesbrough, that's an interesting one. There was a lot of talk about his wages, a lot of talk about Leeds not going in for that. From what I understand, Leeds wanted a permanent transfer for him, but it all sort of came together as a lot of money. Leeds' loan targets were elsewhere. They still could be elsewhere. It looks like the Matt O'Reilly deal, the central midfielder at Celtic, who would be a fantastic option. Someone who's annoyingly played under Russell Martin before at MK Dons. That's the Southampton link. Russell Martin seems to have been everywhere, and every player that we're linked with or they're linked with, there's some connection, whether it be Norwich, Southampton, MK Dons, he's linked with them. But yeah, O'Reilly seems to be a really good fit, a really nice fit as well. But yeah, that's going to be a tough one to get done. Apparently Celtic want north of 9 million for him. So that'll be a tough one to get done. But it's all coming to a head now, isn't it? And it's interesting because years gone by, Leeds have never really been this active, and they've never been outwardly this active as well. You got to think we're still going with this. Like, we still need profiles and we still need left back, and the club are making, It's not like the club are denying any of this. We know through proper sources that this is what the club want. I told you guys at the start of the week, I've been told by someone who I implicitly trust that Leeds at the start of the week were potentially preparing for Sinistera to move on, potentially preparing for a big bid from someone, a Premier League club. And that Leeds after that, or during this week period, we're going to be looking at 5 players, 2 wingers, a central midfielder, and 2 fullbacks. So you're almost ticking the central midfielder off now. We've heard other reports this week saying 4 to 5 players are the amount that Leeds are targeting. You know, we've heard the talk earlier on this week of Thomas, obviously at Leicester. I said to you guys at the start of the week, if you follow me on Twitter, I put it out on Monday. Leicester did not want to loan him out. They did not want to loan him out to Leeds. They were literally pimping Thomas out to other clubs. I can tell you that for a fact from Sunday when Leeds started their interest in him. So Leicester did not want him to come in. It looks like they've got the wish. Sheffield United looked to be the end goal for Luke Thomas. Leicester are definitely going to be pushing for that. But obviously, it's going to be huge what happens with Sinistera. Huge. We can't lose him for me. I'd be gutted if we lost Sinistera. And I think, I'll be honest, I think that it'd be a good window, a really good window. And this is all hypothetical. We're just talking, as if we're on a couch in our living room. But if we were to lose Sinistera, that would really put a bit of a really on the window. And I'm not saying that's going to happen. Of course I'm not. But I think the club are maybe preparing. I'm not saying that's going to happen. Of course I'm not. But yeah, Sinistera is a very preferable player. The good thing is right now Leeds have hit their loan capacity. They can't loan any more players out. So if you come in for Sinistera, you're going to have to buy him. That's official. You're going to have to buy Sinistera. So then you'd be looking at 25, 30, 35 million quid. His agent is in contact with Leeds every single day. Every single day. So, yeah, that's one to keep an eye on. Definitely one to keep an eye on with regards to Leeds United. But I do think if we were to lose him, and I'm not saying that will happen, I keep having to say this because you get clipped up and people don't take into context what you've said. I think that would be a bit of a problem for me. However, it looks like there is movement on several fronts when it comes to Leeds United. So obviously the midfield's getting bolstered up. Glenn Kamara, as I've mentioned before, I don't think they're sure on him. I don't think they're sure on him whatsoever. Matt O'Reilly would be a quality signing. It'd be a really good signing. Do you know what, everyone? I wasn't massively enamoured with what they did with Archie last night. When I saw the team sheet, I was actually a bit naffed off with it. We've got to treat him. I keep saying this, but we've got to wrap him in cotton wool a little bit. He went down a couple of times last night and I thought, Daniel, not tonight, mate. Not tonight. Just stick it. Could have been a Lewis Bate to balance out that double pivot. It could have been a Darko JB. It could have been whoever else. Just don't put Archie in there. And, he's absolutely running his you-know-what out last night and involved in a very physical game. And I just think, I get Ampadu, of course I do. He's a little bit more experienced. He's captain material, isn't he? He'll want to play every game, and as will Archie. But you've got to be really careful with the 17-year-old's development. And that's why it's great that Leeds United are now going out there and hopefully investing in 2 centre midfielders. Phil also said today that they're looking at centre-backs, which is really interesting. Let's just get into a couple of your comments. At what point do we cut off Cine leaving? We can't afford to go. Rob, it all depends, mate. It all depends on the bid. It all depends. And it's similar with Rutter, isn't it? You've got to be... If a team comes in and you've got Cine's agent on the phone regularly, and a team comes in with big money, what do you do? Now, my prediction is this doesn't happen. But the pressure from behind the scenes is always going to be an issue for Leeds, of course it is, and the player. But if someone comes in for 25, 30 million, the club are going to consider that. They just are going to consider that 100%. And that's why I think they will be. I think they'll have options. But I think the issue. Apologies for that, everyone. I think when the window does come to this point, it's a bit of a risk. And I was saying this on the stream last night. I was saying, if a club comes in for Rutter, if a club comes in for Sinistera, it's just the impact right now on being able to then go out and recruit those type of players again. And I know that the profit's going to be massive. It's going to be brilliant. Leeds are actually going to be in profit from Rutter and Sinistera if they get market value, which has been reported that Leon are willing to pay market value if that's come in again for Rutter. And then you're going to make a little bit of profit on Sinistera, aren't you? Probably 2-3 million or whatever from what, we bought him for 20 million quid, didn't we? So maybe a little bit more than that. But you're going to make profit on those two players, which Leeds haven't made profit on players in a long time, apart from Rafinha and Calvin Phillips, really. So there's a long way to go, and I think there's going to be a lot more twists and turns for me. Shame about Thomas today, real shame about Thomas. I thought that'd have been a good signing. I think he's got a Apologies, everyone. To Jamal Lewis. Hopefully that's better. That's all good. I'll keep an eye on that now. To Jamal Lewis. So the big one now is what they do left back, because that's still a massive position. It's a huge position. It's a position which is going to be problematic for Leeds United throughout the season if we rely on Sam Byram, and especially if we rely on Jamie Shackleton. So for me, there's one body out there. Listen, it wouldn't. You've seen him on the thumbnail. It's effing obvious. It's so obvious. It's staring them in the face. And we all said this about Jed Spence, didn't we? It's Jed Spence. Come on, he's there. He's available for loan. Let's go out and get him. Come on. I've seen Benji's just said team on target Taylor. It looks like the triple T's. It looks like Russ has just said Berrin has said that we're not getting a left back. Is that can we confirm that, everybody in the chat? I might have to give him a message myself, to be honest, because that'll irk me. If that's a little bit worrying. I will say that. If that's what they're doing and they're looking at loaning Yelder out, which they've said recently, they've said that they're going to loan Yelder out, which I don't think he was great last night. So I understand that. If they're not willing to get a left back, if that is true, and they're not looking to get a left back, that's worrying. Now, is it going to be detrimental to our season? No. But is it top two worthy if you've not got a quality left back? I don't think it is. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I think fullbacks are so important. And if you're looking at Shackleton or Firpo, and I know we're not in the Premier League, but you've got bomb scare in there in Firpo. I think it would come down to Leeds maybe missing out on Thomas. Clearly. So they clearly thought that was done. Again, there's a lot of people from the Leicester side saying that was done. That was signed, sealed and delivered. Thomas was on his way to Leeds. Leicester didn't want to loan him out. And last minute, Sheffield United have come in. It's a no-brainer. They're a Premier League club. If we aren't after a left back, I'd be slightly worried. I think the Jed Spence signing is fantastic. I think the fact that they're in for a couple of midfielders is a good sign. But if they, once again, and I think we've all felt like this, and this is, I promise you, this isn't being pessimistic or negative. It's really not. I think we've all thought this in life when it's come to Leeds. Like, you always feel, even when we've had a good window, we miss out on a striker or a left back or a central midfielder. Now, when was the last time we had a left back? A proper, well-versed, good, in all areas, left back. It was Charlie Taylor. Good defensively, better than Thomas defensively. As good going forward, you may say no. More experienced, obviously got promotion under his belt. 8 years in the Premier League. would be willing to come back. It just all lines up. Isn't going to be part of Vincent Kompany's plans in the Premier League long term. He's just not. Know that for a fact. It's just not going to happen. He's there. He's a Leeds fan. We always go on about this. You'll still get people in the comment section blaming, don't bring him back, even though Willie Gnonto's been playing and he's done things 50 times worse and everybody loves him again. At the end of the day, football's a fickle business. He's going to be back into the fold. No one will care if he's a quality left back for Leeds United. People need to grow up. At the end of the day, if you get him back in, you got Spence on the other side, you got two centre midfielders. That is a squad. And do you know what the best thing about it all, everybody? He stays fit. He's dependable. He's reliable. And all that time at Leeds, he barely missed a game. And then he barely missed the game at Burnley as well when he was, for selection. And if you don't want that, let's go down the team online. A little bit more about team on because I think overall, you've got Swansea in for him, Bristol City in for him. You look at the calibre of clubs without any disrespect that are in for him, and I think, okay, that's okay. But if you want a player who's been there, done it, and is a fan of the club, why would you not just go out and get it? So I think with Firpo, we all know defensively, I think naturally everyone was going to be like, oh, we'll drop down a division and it'll be great. Aronson would have been shite at this level, in my opinion. Christensen would have been shite at this level, in my opinion. Llorente would have been shite in this division, in my opinion, because Victor Orta's recruitment, barring a couple, was nothing short of hideous. So for me, just because you've dropped down a division doesn't mean that player quality is going to drastically improve, because the players were wrong profiles in the Premier League. They can be wrong profiles in the Championship. And I think a lot of those players would have transferred that Premier League quality to this Championship level. I'm not saying Firpo will do that, but what do we know about Firpo? He's not dependable. He's not reliable. He's risky. He's rash. Why would you rely on that? Why would you want that? And especially if you're looking at maybe Yelder going out. I understand Byram's there, and I understand people are going to say, look, Connor, Byram's there. Byram's out for a month now with an adductor problem. Byram's injury record throughout the season is constant. It's a constant problem. It's been a constant plague throughout his entire career. So this isn't me being negative. It's just me saying, if they're not going in for a left back, which we don't know yet, if they've gone for Thomas, that would make me think that they will go in for another left back. I'd be really confused as to if Thomas isn't a goer for them, with respect to all journalists who are saying that's, and I will follow this up, but with respect to all journalists who are saying it's off and we won't be getting a left back, why on earth would we have gone for Thomas? Why would we have done that? That makes absolutely no sense to me. If you go for Thomas, the club know that a left back is needed. The club know you can't rely on Byram, and Byram's not a left back anywhere. The club know you can't rely on Shackleton. Shackleton's a central midfielder, right back, left back, right mid, who knows what he is. But he's not a standardised left back. I've said so many times before, right-footed left backs restrict you so much. You can look at the top level down, how many times did you see Aspilicueta bombing up and down the pitch? It rarely happened. He got a nosebleed when he got above the halfway line, because he couldn't use his left foot. Bring it down to our level. Stuart Dallas, we know he was he's been a brilliant servant to Leeds United. He's a grafter. But any time Stuart had the ball, he'd cut inside. It narrows play. If you're not comfortable on your left foot as a left back, that's a big problem because it negates width. 100%. Byram, even with the non-so goal that he scored, it was an excellent cross, but he's cutting in his right-hand side every single time. He's cutting into play into his central midfielder. Look at Drame. Cutting inside all the time. He's not natural on his left foot. You need an actual left-footed left back. And I think it's almost become fashionable at this moment in time in football, in modernised football, to be putting, right-footed players at left back. But it never happens on the other side, really, does it? It's strange. It's very, very odd. But I just think if you are going to go out there and make it clear that you want Thomas, then you go out and get a proper left back. And yeah, that would... So I can see people in the comment section below saying, would it be a good window, Connor? If we don't get a left back, it won't be a complete window for me. I don't think. No, I don't think so. Getting to a couple of your comments. Can you confirm a striker may come in? Nope, a striker is not coming in. I can tell you that for a fact. How hard is it? How hard is Leeds to get a cam, mate? Thanks for your donations, pal. I don't know. I don't know how hard it is for Leeds to get a cam. I can't imagine it's going to be that ridiculous. But yeah, the rumours with Matt O'Reilly, who's probably more of an 8, an advanced 8. I don't know. He'd probably fill into that 10 void a little bit more. But he's not an Amiri, you know what I mean? Who is just your Buendia, you know what I mean? That style of player. So maybe Leeds will divert a little bit away from a profile, but a left back would be a massive miss. It'd be a massive miss. Cole Palmer to Chelsea, good for him. Good for him. I'll be making content on that tomorrow. Leeds should sign Connor and put him left back. Mate, I'm right-footed. You don't want to be doing that. You don't want to be doing that. I'd go centre mid, though. I'd go centre mid. Joe says, how many players do you expect in the next couple of days? Two. I expect 2 players. I think they'll do 2 centre midfielders. I'm being contradictory because I've said that they've got to do a left back. Ian Maatson at Chelsea would be a brilliant sign. I think Burnley are trying to move on him again. I'd love them to do Taylor Howard-Bellis, who I know is there at City, waiting to be transferred. I'd love them to do him if they're going for a centre-back, which Phil has reported. It'd be very nice to do Maatson. Maatson would be brilliant. Taylor would be... It's just one of those where it's like, oh, fine. Because Jed Spence can bomb on forward, then we can go into a back 3 if needed. Taylor will shuffle over because he won't get caught in transition maybe as much as Jed Spence will. So they'll just move into a back 3, or you'll move into a back 4, and Ampadu will just cut in and make it a back 4 when Jed Spence is moving forward. You know what I mean? Whereas I think with Thomas, you'd have got Thomas bombing on as well. Football IQ, isn't it? Taylor and the Bulgarian. What's next? Glad to see you've changed your mind regarding Drame. Spence will be a massive, massive upgrade. If Yelder's going, surely we must have a left back lined up. Yeah, I'd hope so. I'd be stunned. Connor, thoughts on Josh Timon? Yeah, I've just mentioned it, Spartan. I wouldn't be adverse to it. I wouldn't. No. Yeah, he's been a wonder kid, hasn't he? He's been, they've been talking about Josh Timon for years and years and years about being this next prodigy. I think the only thing is this is becoming from an arrogant standpoint. When you look at the clubs in for him, I'm a little bit like, And I think if Leeds were desperate for him, they'd have moved already, especially ahead of Luke Thomas. But yes, Timon wouldn't mind, of course, but you've also got to just think, it's now not just about shoving any left back at left back. You've got to get a proper left back in left back. We've got to have standards and expectations as well. And I'm not saying Josh Timon isn't that, but there's play. I mean, if you're saying to me Josh Timon, Ian Maatson, or Charlie Taylor, Timon's coming third. Do you know what I mean? I think you got to look at the clubs who are in for him as well. There's no real break the bank clubs in for him. Premier League clubs, bottom end Premier League clubs, and top end Championship clubs. Speaks volumes, I think. Nah, Jamie, not for me. Don't think he's good enough, mate. Evening, Connor. Really happy the young loans going out. Realistically, these would be starting at. Realistically, these would be starting at the moment if we had injuries. Need to replace with better. Yeah, if they're not going to play, Alfonso, if they're not going to play, what's the point in keeping them around? I understand that. But worst case scenario, if depth is needed, if certain individuals are out of this starting 11, which we know is going to happen in the Championship, especially if we're looking at left back now, as an example, you do need players there to cover at some point. And yeah, these players aren't playing now, but would they be ready if, cover was necessary? I don't know. I don't know, mate. No idea. Absolutely no idea. I don't think they're sure on him. I don't think they're sure on him at all. Have we heard anything solid regarding Charlie? Not yet. O'Brien to Borough. Yeah, that looks like it is something. Would love Charlie Taylor. Don't let people put you off banging that drum. Would be a great fit, especially with the Spence Bob. Tactically, it makes sense, mate. It makes sense. Listen, I understand there's a core part of this fan base who just go fuck them. They didn't want to play for Leeds, but life moves on. Life moves on. You know, a lot of people don't know the actual story. I've tried on here to tell you guys little bits of the story from my understanding. And that might not be true, of course, but there are two sides to every story. And with the cheering that was happening last night for Willie Gnonto, who refused to get on a bus last minute, came out and demanded to leave Leeds United for Everton. I mean, where are our standards here? Is everybody really turning around and saying F Charlie Taylor? Look at the state the club was in at the time. Look at who was in charge of the club and was manager of the club. You know, look at some of the charlatans that were in place at that time, some of the snakes that were about the club, you know what I mean, who only cared about themselves, and everything was everything was from a selfish capacity. Think about how toxic Leeds United was at that point in time. The club's in a much healthier position now, hence why Willie Gnonto was spotlighted, and correctly so. But come on, let's not rewrite history, and let's not just have different standards for different people. It's ridiculous. At the end of the day, when you just look at the footballer and take everything else out, it makes complete sense. And that's what I tried to do. People think I've got an emotional investment. I get it. You know, I understand that. But I do the same thing with Mark Rocker. And you guys laugh at me mentioning him, but I do the same thing with him, don't I? I've got no attachment to him whatsoever. I just think there's a player in there. I just think there's a proper player there. I've always been the same with Pascal Strout. You know, I've always been the same with certain individuals in this Leeds squad who I just thoroughly believe in. There's certain players who I just don't believe in. I don't think they're good enough, and you guys all know who they are. But the ones who I sort of stick by, I try to give everybody a fair whack, really. I do. You know, Shackleton last night, do I think he should be part of Leeds' plans going forward as a starting capacity? Absolutely not. But last night I came on here and I said I thought he was excellent last night. I'll always try to give people a fair crack, however they want to spin it. I couldn't really give a shit. But at the end of the day, when I'm just looking at a profile to fit Leeds United right now to get us back in the Premier League, Charlie Taylor is absolutely idyllic. He's absolutely idyllic for what we need. And if anything, he would be my number one choice. I think what edges him over a little bit is probably that sentiment that he is a Leeds fan and he would come back at the drop of a hat. So, yeah. There's another Gray coming through the ranks, and I've been told he's better. Yeah, it's Harry, isn't it? Yeah, apparently he's pretty decent. Connor, have you heard anything that Tanaka is no longer being considered? Yeah, I think there was a bit of an injury, mate. A bit of an injury in training, and I don't think they're sure on him. From that perspective. I'll go left back, I'm class. Have you got a left foot, Matty, lad? Strauch is not good enough. Leeds, you're waffling. I'm sorry. Football's subjective, but you're waffling. He's literally been one of the best defenders in the Championship since it started again. So, Connor, did you know if we signed Elia Gruev, he'd be the third Bulgarian to play for Leeds United after Radistin, Kishishev, and Kun Temednudskov? Do you know what, Russ? I started that so confidently. Like, I think I nailed the first name as well. But I think we all used to call him Kuhn, didn't we, in 2017? The striker who had a little bit of a similar build to Sergio Aguero, and we all got a bit excited about him, but it was another Victor Orta masterclass. So, yeah, good fact, though. Nice little fact. MW, all the way, mate. Thank you for your constant top clobber comments. Appreciate that, mate. Yeah. Yeah, I think they're the ones. I'd keep an eye on. Brentford wanted him on loan. Obviously, we can't loan out any more players. We've hit our limit. I think they're the ones to keep an eye on. Ryan says, thing is with Taylor, he would love to come back. It's the most obvious link, unless Farke just does it. Yeah, and he might not, Ryan. He might not be, you know, as Farke might want the fullbacks to just bomb on. I think we see that as well. We're getting caught out a little bit at fullback, aren't we? I think we've seen that in the Championship, and maybe that's where the central midfielders need to take it upon themselves to tuck in. And maybe that's why he wouldn't like Taylor, because Taylor's a lot more defensively aware than, let's say, in my opinion, than let's say a Thomas, or previously like when he's had a Jamal Lewis or Ian Matson, who's just a left wing back. Charlie Taylor is a left back. You know what I mean? He's defensively good. Let's not forget how good he was at Leeds. He was excellent. excellent at Leeds United. So, yeah, defensive more aware, but isn't that something we'd all want? We're not going to be short going forward, are we? We're not going to be short going forward. Surely you'd want someone in that starting 11, especially at left back, who is just defensively aware, not a risk, not problematic, good in the tackle, good getting forward, consistent, dependable, reliable, good in possession. I just don't get it. I honestly don't get it. Listen, it is what it is. Who am I? But I'll never understand that. I'll never understand it. But hopefully, we'll get that one done. Spartan says Romano believes the Matt O'Reilly deal could happen. Of all the midfielders we've been linked with, Matt O'Reilly, 100%, 100%. Matt O'Reilly's quality. You should have heard Oscar. We were off air yesterday, and I don't think a girl will ever get him going at the same level as when I said Matt O'Reilly's been linked to Leeds. He nearly fell off his chair about 4 times. So yeah, I mean, Oscar's highly versed in football, hence why we've got him on the debrief. He's got an excellent football brain. But Matt O'Reilly, from his MK Dons days, has been literally like a top player in possession and a top player out of possession as well. Celtic won't want to lose him, hence why his price tag's at 9 to 10 million quid. His career arc's gone up. He's been in, and I don't know how long, if we were to get him, how long we'd be in the conversation for him, how long we'd be able to keep him for. The issue's going to be that git at Southampton, who's got links everywhere. Russell Martin, he's an absolute nightmare lower league. MK Dons, who used to manage Matt O'Reilly. Get him to Southampton, obviously, like he seems to have links everywhere. Norwich, links everywhere. It's an absolute nightmare with this guy. He's got links everywhere. I remember with the air and stuff. Oh, God, best mates with Russell Martin. Played with him, really good pals with him. That's going to be the thing that drags him down to Southampton. It's just, yeah, he's everywhere, this guy. So it's a nightmare. Yeah, see you later, Russ. Oscar was yeah, mate, you should have seen him off air. Yeah, he will. It'll cost a lot. He will cost a lot. Yeah, probably Matt. Probably Matt. Yeah, you're probably not far off. Would you take Townsend? Another fact. I've been on a night out with Connor Townsend. 2 nights out with him. He's a nice lad. Nice lad. But yeah, another one who just sounds like I've just experienced all of these guys on, just in general. So yeah, suddenly I'd take him. Connor Townsend's not a bad shout. It's actually a really good shout. Very consistent in the Championship. Don't think he's on Taylor's level, but he's a good player. Yes, I would. Bit of a leader as well. 29 years of age. I don't know why I told you I've been a night out with him, but I have. Not going to lie. Cine to Palace and Tyreek Mitchell, 30 million. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think Tanaka's going to get done. I really don't. I just don't see that one happening. Ryan, there's no need to shout, mate. Just get your comments in. I think left back, 2 centre midfielders. One that can push into the cam role, obviously. It'd be great if they could do everything. A versatile one. But if I'm to be specific, it'd be left back, centre mid, cam. Left back, centre mid, cam. And if they can do that, what a window. What a window. And I'll say that on air, like, keep Cine. Get those 3 in. It's been a top window. Top window. And I'll come on here and I'll say, if that happens, and I'm happy with the position, I'm honestly happy with the position that we're in, come the end of the window, I know you all want me to come out and say it, I'll say the top 2's on. I'm not convinced yet that it's on. I'm not. And there's still too many holes, to be honest. And too many other teams have better depth, in my opinion. No one has the front 4 we do. No one does. But it's not just a team in the Championship isn't just comprised by your top 4. You build from the back. And I think we've genuinely got a really good signing in Jed Spence. I'm a massive fan of Rodon. I love Pascal Struijk, as you know. So 3 of the 4, it's excellent. If you're to keep Firpo in there, if you could put Shackleton in there long term or Byram, it's imbalanced. And it's another fucking window without a left back, a quality left back, a good left back. Don't even have to be quality, just a good left back who's going to be consistent and dependable. You might think Firpo's a good player. He's never frigging fit. He's never frigging fit. That's the problem as well. You're never going to be able to build up any consistency with the guy. He's made out of biscuits. His legs are made out of biscuits. There's no point. So when it comes to physicality, when it comes to durability, he's not on it. Do you know what I mean? So you might think he's good enough, but like Byram, his legs are made out of biscuits. So there's no point. They've got to go out and get one, especially when they're talking about sending Yelder out on loan. And I don't think Yelder's... I like Yelder. I do like Yelder. I like Yelder at centre-back. I do. We've got better options than Yelder at centre-back in terms of his development. So I understand him leaving. I do. But, you know, Yelder's the only left foot... If you to give me a choice of Yelder and Firpo, I'm probably going Yelder in terms of dependability. That's it. But why don't we just go out and actually buy a left back? Which I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will. We don't, though, do we? As a fan base, come on, everybody, let me know. Just give me a yes or a no. Would you have Firpo? If this window ended, would you be okay with having Junior Firpo for this? Don't be influenced by me, because I know sometimes it can be a bit of a gobshite. I understand that. But just from your perspective, would you be happy leaving this transfer window with depth of Firpo and Byram and Shaq Attack as left back cover? Would you be happy with that? Do you think that's good enough to be in the top 2 contention? Bearing in mind, Enzo obviously doesn't play without and out left backs, but you've got Southampton with like Ryan Manning at left back and Kyle Walker-Peters at right back. That's a balance. And the reason I mention those clubs is because if we're talking top 2, that's who we're going to be battling with, right? So each of these teams are either playing different systems where you don't utilise that many fullbacks, or you utilise fullbacks and they've got a real good balance. You know what I mean? Would you be happy with that? You would be happy with that. Right. Okay. Well, as I say, that's fine. That's fine. Football is subjective. Alex says not good enough. No. Yes. Okay. Yes. Only for the championship and if fit. Okay. Fair enough. A lot of no's. Few yeses in there, though, which is really surprises me. But fair enough. Football, as I say, football's subjective. It's all opinions based, isn't it? I understand that. Of course I do. Right. But is he going to be fit? Which is what I'm saying. He's never fit. So... How would Daniel Farke coax out of him being rash and getting too tight and making continuous mistakes? He had a period at Leeds where he had 3 or 4 games where he was decent because the rest of the team were crap and he shone a little bit. I don't know. I think we won the championship with Alioski. Yep, true. That is true. I'd take Alioski over Firpo. And do you remember Alioski played nearly every game? This is the thing we've got to talk about, everybody, as well. Like, they've got to be good enough to play every game, of course. But if we're going into a season with Junior Firpo as left back and he's playing 10 games out of the next 46, there's just no point. And we're going to be dipping into the market in January, aren't we? You know? Yeah, a lot of people talking about Darlow. Darlow was a weird one yesterday. I mean, he saved 7. I saw a stat that he saved 7 penalties out of 31. And I don't think I've ever seen a worse goalkeeping display in a penalty shootout than that. And you got to laugh at it at the end. I'm not arsed we're out the cup. I don't care. We're never going to win it. But it's crazy, isn't it? It seems to be something at Leeds where our goalkeepers just can't save penalties. Meslier, how many penalties do you reckon Meslier saved at Leeds? Not many. Not many at all. I can't think of any. I can't think of any. The amount of penalties he's faced and saved. I think Darlow's just got the curse now. Yeah, they will do. They will do. I don't even know if he's going to play there. I don't even know if he's going to play. Said 2, has he? Right, 2 in about 200. Did I hear Colin Palmer to Chelsea? I don't think so, mate. I'm just checking the sphere now to see if anything else is going on. Anything else we want to talk about? Middlesbrough have agreed a loan deal for Leeds United midfielder Sam Greenwood, the 21-year-old had interest from Sunderland, but Borough won the race. I'm fine with that. I don't think he's going to get anywhere near, to be quite honest with you. I'd have been really surprised as well. It also seems, according to Bild as well, that Gruev, obviously we're talking about the Bulgarian midfielder who's been absent from Werder Bremen's side. He's going to be on his way to Leeds United. Yeah, apparently he's on a flight with Oliver Burke, but I think Oliver Burke's on his way to Bristol City. So, see if there's any other rumours. Yeah, Gruev should be Leeds' next signing, according to a pretty decent source. Apparently he's spoken to Daniel Farke. Taylor Howard-Bellis is expected to move before Friday's deadline, according to City Extra, a very good source. Matt Law has said as well that Nottingham Forest have the... Fucking Forest, man. It always seems to be Forest, Bournemouth and Southampton everywhere, doesn't it? Forest have the City defender on a list of potential additions, while Leeds and guess who are keen. Have How long have we been gone, everyone? How long have we been gone? Let us know on the mic. How long have we been gone? Can I get an estimate? Can I get an estimate? Oh, harsh, but probably true. 10 seconds? 30 seconds? Was it 30? I don't know how far I'm going to have to go back. Where did I stop? Oh, God, I was on a bit of a roll there as well. Because I wasn't looking at the camera and I'm looking at my phone. About 30 seconds. Who are we talking about? Guess who? Oh, okay, thank you, Mikey. Southampton. It was Southampton, believe it or not. Shockingly, it's Southampton. But yeah. So, yeah, Werder Bremen have excused Ilya Gruev from training as an approach from Leeds United. And Taylor Howard-Bellis, yeah, as we've mentioned. And my mic went off, which is fantastic. So, yeah. Interesting one, everyone. Really interesting few days ahead. Do you know what, Jamie? It is an expensive mic, mate. And I've got a new lead for it as well. It's because I keep knocking it, mate. I've tried to get a new setting here. I've tried to make it a little bit more relaxed. We're not in a cupboard anymore. Some nice lighting, some plants, some scarves. We're going to get more bits here, you know. So I hope you enjoy it. I'm trying to put a bit of effort in, you know, trying to get things sorted here on the channel. So I really appreciate your support. I know we'd sit here and chat rubbish, or I chat rubbish, but so many of you guys get engaged. There's nearly 1,400 of you in here. Me just chatting absolute waffle, but I appreciate it. Please make sure you smack a like on the video. We're going to be back constantly throughout your transfer deadline period. I think Leeds are going to be doing activity. I think Leeds are going to be doing activity. But yeah, as I say, completely off the cuff this is. So I appreciate all of your support coming in. I announced this with 10 minutes to go and I came on and there's been 1,500 of you in the building. Thank you so much. Please, before you exit, make sure you leave a like on the video. Guys, I'll be back throughout the entire week talking Leeds United. Really appreciate it and really appreciate your support. Heading over to the Patreon if you want some bonus content. If you don't, no problem at all. Guys, it's been a pleasure. I'll see you in a bit. Cheers.